Dude, so happy to be here. So happy to see you.
I know, man. And it's so crazy. Like we met, it was like we had the same manager for the longest time, Gina Brugolo.
That's right. I thought that we knew each other from Fortune,
Yeah.
from the boxing gym.
But it was Gina back in the day. And then,
Okay.
and I just moved to, cause I just moved to LA when I had signed with Gina and everybody. And you were doing, I think Drake and Josh, or something was there. But I remember meeting you and be like, oh, you were like one of the first like guys on TV that I met when I moved there. I was like, oh, hey man, you were just like the night. I mean, you've always been the nicest guy, but so crazy, like how many years ago that was.
Yeah, it's been a long. I really venerate time in the business. Like I think that's the only true, um, sort of touchstone of like who someone is. Because everybody can have a moment. People can even have a couple moments. But I'm like, if you've been around for 2 or 3 decades, I'm like, you made it. Like you clearly have something.
Yeah, it's crazy too, and I think the people that you'd see like in the audition rooms, and that was such a part of our culture. Like you go to an audition room, and you'd catch up with friends, you'd be like getting up, like go and get lunch after. I'm like, oh, how's everything? Now that doesn't really exist anymore. It's like we're so removed from it, and it's like this business it's such a like, it's like like the salmon run. You just don't know who you're going to end up. Like you're going up the water. Like you're still here. I'm like I'm still here. Like you're going up. You keep jumping up to the next thing, and then you see a buddy get eaten by a bear, and you're like, oh shit. You go to the next. It keeps going and going. This business is just, it's so crazy in the sense, but for some way, some shape, or how, like we've kind of navigated. It's still a fucking struggle. It's still, I have no idea how to make sense of anything that this business continually doesn't make sense, but we've kind of made it through, not unscathed, but we've kind of been, swimming against the current and finding a way.
And I think, do you think like obviously there are some lifers like you and me, but I think the trouble is if you have some success in entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe this is something I do, but I don't mean to project onto other people, but like I feel like people go, if you had success in show business and then you do anything else, people go like, what are you, nuts?
Yeah.
Like you achieve the thing everyone wants to achieve. Why would you open a bakery
Yeah.
or get your real estate license? And I think more people need to know, like whenever someone says to me like, I kind of took a break from acting and now I sell, $2 million homes in, Franklin, Tennessee. I'm like, congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm like, sounds awesome.
Yeah. It's so different to stay in this business. Like, it's not that you really have to love it, because a lot of people who really love it, they decided it just wasn't for them. It's not that I don't know what else I would do. I don't know if I would be happy. I just love the chaos of whatever it is I can never make sense about it. I love it. And I love the journeys that we get to go on and the people we make. And then as we get older, get into more of the creative side of things. But that consistent struggle kind of, it's like, it's like you're never comfortable. Like, oh, I'm good right now. Because as soon as that job ends, you're fucking back at the line. Like you're like, got to go get another one. Which is always like, so this isn't the job that's like, I get offers all the time now. It's like, no, you're being considered.
Yeah. We sort of had our moment, especially when we were boxing together every day, where it was so like fun. that good unemployed actor life of like waiting for the next job. So we got a lot of time during the day. So let's try to stay somewhat fit. Let's burn a couple hours doing something positive instead of being a cliche. Yeah. And then from my purview, and tell me what I'm getting wrong, it seems like you got SEAL Team and obviously you started a beautiful family, but was it like, because now you live in South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina.
Were things moving in that direction of you being like an outdoorsman and into weapons and whatnot before SEAL Team?
No.
Or did SEAL Team jumpstart that?
Oh yeah, it brought the freak out for sure. Fucking straight redneck Riviera. I was like, these are my people, man.
Yeah, talk about that.
Well,
because you could have been a cornball, LA guy.
Yeah.
You were never a cornball, but like you could have been like, I go to the Bel Air Country Club by monthly, and
yeah. I think well with Pre-SEAL team, hadn't really shot any guns. I'd shot like a handgun here and there, but not to the level of what I was getting into. And then it just became, we were doing it so much, I became kind of addicted to it, and it was fun. And then just like hanging around these guys, and like, Max Terriot, he was really into hunting and stuff, and I'd never really gotten into that. And then when I did it and started to understand how hard it is, but just how like the effort that has to go into, getting an animal, and then like once you get it, then you actually like hiking it out, and like I really got into health and fitness. That Justin Fortune's gym was sort of like the beginning of me, going through a trend. And I think both of us had our struggles with weight. Like that was like, it's never been easy. It's a constant. I was not born with a jawline and a six pack and, cheekbones. I'm a potato.
Sure.
It's the Irish potato. It's like, show me one jacked Irishman. It's like, no, the people that are the jacked Irishmen had like they have like Spanish blood in them. Like they have the golden brown skin, like the Colin Farrells of the world. He's got the, they call them the Black Irish. It's like, that's when the Spaniards came over.
Or what about Furies? Well, they're not pure Irish, are they?
Furries, like people that dress up in costumes?
No, the Furies, like Tyson Fury.
Oh, the Furies. Yeah, I was like, the furries? I'm like, okay, we're going there. It's like, sure. All right, yeah. First, let's talk about the furries for a second.
I feel very bad. No one picks their kinks, and that's what we need to know. And that's why we need to not be judgmental. I feel so relieved that I just like pretty old-fashioned canoodling with my wife. Because like I imagine like that weirdo CEO guy who wants to be like have high heels walked all over his body and cigarettes put out in his scrotum. I'm like, did you choose that?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And how quickly did it accelerate to there? Was there some growth, and you were trying, or you're like, put it out of my balls right now?
Yeah.
It's like where I've always that jump. It's like, and even with, at what point in the night of the party, someone's like, let's smoke some crack. And they're like, great idea. Let's do that. Like where in that journey, like, I've had my struggles with alcohol, going through it. So, but I had some dark moments with it, but I always wonder when it's that next step of like, you're from the kinks, like people are sex addictions, people have, and it's all sort of wrapped up into one chaos of like, once you trigger this, it's like play the tape. What's going to happen? You do this, and you're going to be fucking, dressed up in a furry costume in a corner, getting after something. I'm like, and I like when I heard the first thing about furries, I was like, this isn't real. And I'm like, no, people like are in. And what's crazy is they're so happy. They're having, this is their thing. And they found a community of people that just love to get dressed up. Like, I can only imagine like they open up the box and like they found like their inner animal that they want to portray. It's like, it's the most fascinating culture, and it gets way deeper. Like
I'm sure it always does.
Yeah. Like you can get butt plugs with tails on them and stuff. And I'm like, I was like, wow, the attention to detail. Is that fox fur?
Yeah. Is this mink? Is this illegal? Yeah. So I've heard, but I know the cocaine to crack scenario, which is your nose doesn't work anymore. And somebody says, hey, I don't know, I heard. And like, they know. It's just people finding quicker, stronger ways.
When you were going through your addiction, was it cocaine and crack?
No, it was, I was on everything but skates. But I was on whatever you had. But I certainly know from friends and whatnot, and just in general of knowing that world, like I think people step it up because the original way of ingesting just becomes not as strong, not as powerful. And it's a slippery slope. Like no one starts injecting something. Yeah. No one starts at these like marquee, crazy horror story drugs, but it just slowly gets there. And I think you get lost
chasing that high, that dragon or whatever, what was it, the void that you feel like you were trying to fill?
My God-sized hole. I don't know. What I know, having been sober for a good amount of time now, is you meet a lot of people in recovery, and you find out that like it's we have corny sayings, but like from Park Avenue to the park bench, from Penn State to the state pen, right? Like addiction comes in all shapes and sizes, and it can even come from siblings who had the exact same upbringing to an extent, and one has it and the other doesn't. So I think you're born with the disposition, and then life factors sort of pull the trigger. But you're born with a loaded gun.
So take me back to your childhood. Where were you born?
I was born in New York City, and I lived there till I was 14. Single mom, only child, and my first television show is what brought me out to Los Angeles, and I've been here ever since.
So Jake and Josh that was your first gig like that?
The Amanda Show.
Oh, the Amanda
which
Show
was sketch comedy for kids.
That's right.
Yeah. So I did that, and my first thing was a movie for Nickelodeon called Snow Day, and that kind of got me.
Dave Poco, Emmanuel Shrieky. You remember M and Dave Poco. Yeah, they're good friends of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. M's dear friend. Yeah.
No way. They're great. I remember David on the first night that my mom and I arrived in Edmonton, Canada. It's like 8:00 at night. I remember when they said, "Hope you have your passport ready. You leave on Wednesday." I'm like, "I don't have a passport." Like, I was like, "You don't need one to go to the Jersey Shore."
Yeah.
And we arrived, and like my mom and I were such, bumpkins, even though we're from New York City. Like, we didn't realize we needed Canadian money. And so we like sit there and we order dinner, and David's right next to us. It's across from the hotel. And he's like, "Oh, I'm in the movie too. Nice to meet you." And he loaned us money for dinner because we like tried to hand our American dollars over, and they were like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, Paycal used to be my roommate. We were all roommates together. All like when we
No way.
Yeah, because we did a movie, Disturbing Behavior. It was James Marsden, Katie Holmes, Nick Stahl, myself, Paycal. And that's the movie that brought me down. David Nutter was the director. And I came down, and like Nutter like gave me a place to live I lived at his house, and then ended up getting a place out in Santa Monica on like 14th and Hill. And we had like 5 or 6 like actors all sort of living there. Paycal was one of them. And we all there was no furniture. It was like air mattresses and, hanging out the coffee bean down in Venice. Like it was just, when I look at that time, I always like, none of us had any clue of like what we were in for. We all like just were, it was like, when I look back at and think back to that moment of absolute fearless. No, I'm doing it. This is what we're doing. Yeah, we're actors. We're gonna go. Like, I had a pager. I had always had quarters in my pockets in case my agent called for an appointment that I gotta go audition for. I was like, yeah. And then we'd run lines and we'd read plays, and we're actors. And it was everything was so intense and the art. It was so, but it was so blinded at anything that the road ahead is gonna suck. It was bring it on. I just didn't know what I didn't know. And it's a crazy thing. And you go in these growths of, as we go through this business, of you grow into certain things. So for like yourself, your actor, father, podcast, entrepreneur, what role do you think you've grown into the most over the last couple of years that you've really said oh, this is has it been a father that you've been oh, this is the new, is it business wise? Where do you feel you've really sort of grown the most over the last little bit?
I think, being a dad is, I'm glad it kind of defines me, and it's my thing. I had I'm working a day on a buddy show and he's producing this thing in 3 weeks. And I said to him, it was one of those, can you do me a favor and just come play for, kind of make a little cameo on this thing. And I was like, of course, I love this guy. I owe him a lot, and it's my pleasure. And then I was like, yeah. And I'll loop you in with my agent or whatever. And then it comes back to me that it's a 12-hour thing. And as you know, growing up in this business and whatnot, that was never a thought. But I just said to him nicely, I said, hey, I can't. Like, I was like, and I knew, I'm like, figure out how we can do it in 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Now, granted, everything you're doing something like SEAL Team, you're doing something like Oppenheimer, where you're like, where it's all about the art, and you're like, cool.
Yeah.
I will be here 20 hours, whatever you need. But this thing didn't require 12 hours. And I also was like, look, I still want to be able to drop my kid off at school at 9 and be done by 5 to pick him up. And for most of my life, that wasn't a consideration. It just was like, wherever you need me, whenever you need me, that's where I'll be. You own me. And now to know that my family life is much more important than any of that, it's like, it's kind of the power of no. It gives me a good sort of anchor point to say, like, because Ryan Holiday, the great Stoic author, says, like, there's always a no involved with every yes, and there's always a yes involved with every no. So if I turn down a gig or something, or it just doesn't work out, like, I'm saying yes to my kids. I'm saying yes to putting them down that night and reading them a story and sleeping, with my wife in bed. And like, I'm saying yes to that. And then when I say yes to the right gig, if God willing, the right thing comes my way, it goes, okay, well, this is great and it's worth it. But in turn, I have to kind of say no to them for a time.
Yeah. I think, in this sort of next chapter of my life and my own sort of discovery of, like, who am I? Like, what am I? I had this real moment probably a year ago, and I'm like, who am I? Like, what am I? What are my kids gonna like? One day I'm not gonna be here, and what are they gonna like? What's their memory gonna be? What is it like? Was it an actor? I fucking played pretend and wore makeup. Like, what is am I doing? What am I doing? And it was like, I really had to, like, go deep within myself to trying to figure out, like, what it was. And I had a conversation with my wife, and I was like, look, any gigs that I take now or anything that I go and do, I want to be able to look at my kids and say, yes, it sucks that I'm going to miss some things, but what I'm doing is so worth it, and I'm going to grow. It's going to benefit the family. It's going to feed my soul in a way that the pain of not being there for the football game, or missing something, or having to talk to you at FaceTime, whatever it is I'm doing is worth it. But I've thought about it. I've put things, and it's never going to, nothing's ever worth missing moments with you. But this is something that will benefit you guys and will benefit me. And until I had, it was funny you said that no, who's the gentleman that said that you quoted?
Ryan Holiday.
Ryan Holiday. I mean, that makes so much sense. You have to sometimes be like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I think we were so programmed too as things, just, you want to keep everybody happy. And the person that's not happy ends up being you,
What do you, what was it like being on? I mean, you've had a few successful shows that have gone seasons, but when you're doing 20 plus episodes of a show like SEAL Team that clearly, like, also fed you creatively, and just as a human, right? You're like around similar guys. You're learning from people. You're discovering this new side of yourself that you didn't know was there. What was that like? Like, was that run just
it was pretty
incredible?
Yeah, it was like, when my first big gig was the CSI New York, and I did 9 years in that, and I was living out of my car, and $32.95 to my name. I have it still framed in my office, and I lived out of my car for a year and a half, and I was in the 7-Eleven parking lot on Curson and Sunset. Right by Fortunes,
right next to Fortunes.
Yeah. So that was
right
it was
there.
all in that during that time. Like, some of the time that I was at Fortunes, I was sleeping in my car. Like, I was going through some rough stuff. And remember, like, when Hemsworth came in because he got Star Trek and he was boxing, and Justin was like, "Oh, we're getting."
He went. That's why I went. That's why I went in, because of Red Dawn.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
I played his brother in Red Dawn, and they were like, you need to get in shape if you're going to be his brother. I'm like, oh yeah, that's going to convince people we're related. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to drop 8 pounds of water weight, and suddenly they're going to be like, yeah, you're an Adonis too.
Yeah.
But that's how I discovered Fortune, was because of Hemsworth.
I mean, it just was that like with that Saturday morning thing we'd go do all the, all the different,
Yeah,
and
8
Mac, remember Big
a.m.
Mac?
Macca passed
Yeah, I
away.
know. Yeah, I was devastated about
Yeah,
that. That was so. I was
yeah,
so
the
sad when
best.
that. I love you. Hey, girl, what you got? Yeah, keep moving. Always keep moving forward. He was like right out of Rocky. It was like he had this little hat
Yeah.
and was like, it was just. And Justin Fortune with his he was until I didn't. So I saw him like kind of smile. He was walking away. I'm like, oh, did you smile, dude? You're not really a hard ass. Yeah, like he would always like look at me like when he's training, people were training, we'd be like checking around, and he'd be like, I'm like, oh, he's mad. Okay, we gotta do it. But then I realized like he's just breaking balls all the time. Like he just loves to fucking have it at push you through whatever you needed to get through. But he thoroughly enjoyed fucking taking the piss out of us. It was like,
Oh yeah.
he's a
I've
great
also
dude.
seen him. I've seen him slap a man in the
You
face.
did? What happened? What happened?
Yeah, bro. At the new location, I was training there to get in shape for another role, and some guy, a trainer, you might know him. He was kind of around, and he came at Fortune the wrong way, and he said something out of pocket to Fortune's wife. Not like egregiously disrespectful, but just like you don't want to come at a guy like Justin's wife that way. And you could hear it throughout the entire gym. I think someone. I mean, this is a guy who was a prize fighter, like
Yeah.
was a contender, fought Lennox Lewis. And so I mean, like he could end you with a punch. So I think he elected to show this guy what was up, but did it with a slap and save his
Ooh.
life. Yeah,
There's nothing worse.
it was
Like
a
being
lot.
punched is one thing, but when you get slapped, that's a
Yeah,
warning. That's a warning shot. Like step away from the vehicle. Yeah.
it was great.
Did they break it up or was did it end?
Yeah, it ended. I mean, he just walked out of the gym, but I've seen him. I man, I can't. There was a certain celebrity who we'll talk about
Mm.
off mic who used to come into the boxing gym and was particularly just had an ego. And you know how we used to do sparring sessions, but we would
Yeah.
do body shots
Yeah.
because we're all
Oh,
like pretty boy actors.
yeah.
So like, God forbid you go above the neck.
Yeah.
And like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, what do you, hey man, I'm auditioning for like an arc on guiding light, bro. I can't have a black eye. And this one actor guy, he went off on my buddy Rhett and
Mm.
just like started throwing all these headshots. And Fortune called him the C word and picked him up by
Mhm.
his body and like chucked him out of the gym. And he's like, never come back. And I was like, I respect that because that's a guy who probably could have given him a lot of money over the years. But he was like, what are you doing? Like,
I think I
when you're,
remember that. I think I remember that guy that came in that was. I remember there was some because he was like kind of a pretty boy like guy that
yeah,
yeah, and he wanted to hurt people. Like he came in there like to prove a fucking point. And I was just like, yeah, because again we had more. It was like more like it was like we were all hanging out, laughing, doing our thing, and then we'd work out. But it was like it's this great place we all just went to, and we did the circuit and whatever it was, and like it was
yeah,
great. But I got in some of the best shape I ever did in my life there. Like it was just like he put like the fun back into that. And it was like, I think that because with my weight would go up and down. And it was thinking like when I was consistent in there, I was in the best shape by far of my life. And Justin helped
yeah.
me get ready for so many. I haven't seen him in years. I'll talk to him via Instagram every once in a while. I know he got cancer there for a while,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's all
But
good.
he's
Yeah,
doing all right. Yeah.
yeah, and then with Pacquiao and stuff, and like he's like, back in that camp and stuff, which was always so crazy because you'd see like, remember when they would come by like a whole like the Filipino, and I'm like, what is going
Yeah.
on here? They go up like I went with them up to the run just to sort of see it. Like you want to talk about entourage? Manny Pacquiao has the biggest entourage. Like it's like his cousin's barber, the barber's like
Ball
friend.
boy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
boy, yeah. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Dude, he was
Yeah,
so
dude.
funny, man. And just he just Manny Pacquiao, he had like the most adorable bounce. He would just be like bounce, 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 bounce. It was just like he'd always just be like dun, 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 dun. It never stopped. And his calves were like
Yeah.
he had the most beautiful calves. It was like this little man and there's these like awesome calves. Do you the same like do you have calves? Because I can't my
I
calves. Are you got
I
good?
do because I was a big kid. So like my legs are it's the one nice consolation prize, but I think it helps me too on set with
Mhm.
actors' egos and shit, like male actors
Yeah.
and stuff. Like when you're around a guy like Pacquiao or Justin, or like, these are real killers. Like,
Oh yeah.
these are guys who could unequivocally end you whenever they choose. Same thing with Hemsworth. Like,
Yeah.
Hemsworth's 6'4" and does kickboxing for fun. Like,
Yeah.
Hemsworth could hurt you, and they're all have the nicest disposition. So like when I'm on set and some like 5'9" wafy douche is like acting like a tough guy, I'm like, get out of here, son. Like, it's not gonna fly here. It shouldn't fly anywhere, but it certainly won't fly here.
Do you feel like because you've been through so many reinventions of yourself while you were, was there a moment in your career going through while were you sort of searching for yourself or reinventing that you thought maybe it'd be over, like it's done?
I still think that all the time.
Really?
I'm just not disturbed by it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
As much so, like, you don't know. And, Steve Martin has that great quote of, an actor's career is over a year before they quit.
Yeah.
So, the truth is that it's a long life. We're not athletes. There isn't a cap on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go as long as you can go. But the one thing that in moments of frustration or feeling a bit of, hopelessness, just natural human kind of feelings, I'll talk to a trusted confidant, a therapist, a sponsor, whatever. And they'll be like, but you know what the one thing is about you, Josh? Like, you've always figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that harkens back to what we were talking about at the top of this. Like, I'm almost 30 years in, and I'm still here, and I'm still like relevant to a certain extent, as much as I would like to be. And knock wood, I make a good living, and I got all the cash and prizes. I got a family, I got a life. Like, I'm not sweating it. So I guess the thing that keeps me centered and at peace is that all the evidence supports that I always figure it out.
Yeah.
I just don't know what way that's going to be.
Like the Tao of Pooh. Did you ever read the Tao of Pooh?
No.
You have? Oh, you got it right. I'm going to send it to you. I'll send it to you. It's one of my favorite books. It's super simple. I'm I'm psychic horrible. Like I struggle reading, like where I've never read a book front to back. I have to hear everything.
Sure.
But the Tao of Pooh, basically, it just goes through each of the characters within Winnie the Pooh and sort of gives this sort of philosophy around him. But Winnie the Pooh is sort of like, he's got the thing that's important to him, which is his honey and his friends, and he just cruises along. Winnie the Pooh is never phased. He is content with where he is exactly in that moment. He is not in a rush to go anywhere. And if he's got to go anywhere, he wanders on. If he gets stuck in a log, there's honey in here, or he'll find the honey. He's just this sort of like, oh, hey, I'm Winnie the Pooh. Like, it's just, as opposed to then the other characters, you got Tigger, who's like, blah, blah, he's, and all these different, and then, Eeyore, he can't get out of his own way, and Piglet, who's constantly worrying about this, if it's clean enough, so there's all these sort of different, it's a super fascinating, super quick read, but really of, and I think we've all had, been the Tigger, we've all, been the worry horse, and like 100% have been the Eeyore, where you're just like stuck in your own self bullshit of like, I cannot get out of my way. Do you think like for people that feel like they've peaked too early in this business, what do you think the first sort of step they need to do to rewrite their story for that next chapter?
Oh boy, I don't know. I mean, like, people I don't know. Are you saying that's what I did?
No, I feel like you've been through some storms, you've been through, and as you said, like, you've figured it out. But for someone that, maybe had their moment and they think that it's gone, like, how do they, like, what do they do? What would you say to someone to, hey, your story's not over yet. This is how you rewrite it, or how do you flip that page to go to the next chapter?
I think it's so specific to each person. My experience was like, when Drake and Josh was on television, it was only for kids. So it's really only gotten to the heights or part of the zeitgeist the way it is over the last like 10 years through social media.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I was 18 or 19, we finished,
Mm-hmm.
and I, there was no thought of peak because I
Yeah.
was on a kid show,
Yeah.
and like we didn't make any money. And so just like any other 19-year-old, I was like, I have a passion in this thing I like. I'm not going to go to college. And so I was lucky to have trained feet in the sense of every time where I've felt frustrated or over it, I feel that feeling, and then I get the next audition and I go for it. And so at every moment I've sort of never sort of rolled over. And then there's all these peaks that you have, whether it's going and doing Red Dawn and being like, I'm in a $60 million action movie. This is it. Doing like, Grandfathered, where I played Stamos' son on Fox. I'm like, oh, this is me. Or doing Turner and Hooch, where I'm like TV's low rent Tom Hanks on Disney
By
Plus,
the
or
way,
Oppenheimer.
I loved doing Turner Hooch. That list looked like a blast. Was it so fun?
It was the best.
It
It was
looked
my
like
best.
it was like you were in your element. It was such like I felt like, and I mean this with all respect, but I felt like it was like this real grown up sort of role. Like it was a really like you know what I mean. Like and you had this charm. Like it just everything about it was. And again, it was like this young Tom Hanks. Like but it was done really well. And it just like
Yeah.
you were just in a flow state. I felt like it just looked like you were having a blast.
It was great. And I'll quickly close the loop on what I was just saying, but like there's all these moments, like even like Oppenheimer is a perfect
Yeah.
example, right? I go do that and it literally crosses the finish line, like wins the Oscar
Yeah.
for Best Picture.
Yeah, can't get any better.
And yeah, and it's like, so there's over the last 15 years, there have been these touchstones where I was like, I could have said this is a finish line moment, or this is a moment where everything will be different. But instead, I just went like, how wonderful that I get to have this experience. And it'll be interesting to see what comes after. But it never, I think, where that saved me was, if you think that's the peak, if you think there's like a pinnacle moment, if you think you deserve a different thing now, because I was in the movie that won the Academy Award, you're screwed. But if you're a worker amongst workers and you just go, like I did when I was 18, after the last episode of Drake and Josh, the same thing I did after Oppenheimer won the Academy Award, I went, okay, what's the next audition to prepare for?
Yeah.
Let me call, I had a friend come up to me the other day and she's like, you seem to have navigated this stuff so well, coming out of like, there's so many cliche horror stories with people like you. And she's like, what do you think? What do you attribute it to? I was like, I audition and I go to acting class.
Yeah.
Like I was like, that's the only thing special about me that sometimes I'll notice some of my peers aren't doing is they go, oh, F this. Like I'm in it 25 years. I'm not going to humble myself. And I'm like, oh, I do. Sometimes I get lucky.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm like, one, I love the audition. I like taking chances. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make a very strong choice. I'm going to put this in, and I'm like, and this is sort of my take on it. And if they like it, great. If they don't, but I do love the audition. Like as frustrating it can be, because you're like, you'll do a bunch of tapes and you're like, who's it? And then you don't hear anything. Right? Or then, but it's just work gets work. And I think being able to stay sharp and read somebody's script, and then, I always feel like it doesn't matter how many times it happens. When I get an email with an audition, says per our conversation. Like I used to always love when you get a script. Remember they used to send the scripts and you'd open it up and you'd like, it came like, and it came like, it was all like the runners would come over, a hard copy. It was just so, it was like, so it felt magical. It felt like this real prestige thing. And like you have an appointment and the cover letter of like, and my AJ Buckley, like, I was like, wow, this is cool. It felt very official, but it's those little things that you go along. But I think for someone like yourself, growing up in the spotlight, what was the hardest thing emotionally that you had to sort of deal with? Like that people don't, because there's fame and there's all this sort of stuff, but everybody from the outside thinks that you're good, you're fine. Like what was like the hardest thing for you to process emotionally?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it was just not being defined by this work. There's a famous quote of like, all the glory goes to God, the mistakes were mine, and not even that I'm so religious or in that way. I just like, I feel really lucky that I've gotten to have a family. I get to have a family. I have found the virtue in what we do, which is as storytellers, we get to distract people from their hard lives, and that they can come home from a hard day's work and sit with us for an hour and lose themselves in the world that we help create.
Yeah.
And I think that is worth doing. And so in that way, I'm proud of what we do, and I'm proud of the craft. Like, I mean, I literally was sitting in a acting class yesterday with my coach, who was like, chill out with all this forward energy. And I just want to like scream out and be like, I'm 38 and I'm still giving forward needy energy. Like, shit. Yeah. But you know what? It's like, I need to be reminded. And it's that, I think with us, I think people fell in love with the romanticizing self-taught. Oh, he's a prodigy. He's a natural. He picked up a guitar and suddenly Hey Jude came out. But like, no one who's excellent, and especially sports, to me, is the best sort of comparison. LeBron James has a coach. Like, Tiger Woods has a coach. Like, the greatest of greats, like, continue to work hard at it. And I feel like with us, with actors, there's this idea of like an alchemy, like this magic hits right at action. But as you know, because you've worked with some of the best, and I've been lucky enough too, I'm like, oh no, like the people who are the best are just outworking you every time. And it doesn't suck that they look like Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah. But that's nature, right? Yeah. But like, he works his ass off, and that's why he's been the dude for 30 years.
Yeah. I got a buddy of mine, he's like just handsome guy. I always remember he said, because hey, do you know that feeling when you walk in a room and like everybody turns their head and looks at you? And I was like, no, I don't. He's like, no, I don't mean it like that. He's like, like, and I'm like, Skip, I don't look like you, bro. Like, he's like one of those guys. He's just got like jawline. He's like, he looks like he's just, it's like, you're like, oh, it's symmetry. It's like, how they would say like the symmetry. He's like, it's perfect. Just like he'd eat whatever food he wants, and just muscles grow. He's got the cool jaw muscles. Like, he's got an 8-pack in the side of his jaw. You're like, what's that? How do you do that? Like, and like, he never takes a bad angle. I'd have like turkey neck, and I'm like, oh, and I'm just ripping myself apart. And he's just like, or he'll come in, he's like, I feel like I'm getting fat. I'm like, you're not, bro. You're shredded. Like, this is fat, But I remember I'm like, Skip. It's just, he just. Like when you just walk in a room and everybody turns their head and stares at you. I'm like, no, I mean, for sure. I mean, I stare at you. I watch you do that. I mean, I feel your pain, bro. He's like, it's a lot of pressure. I'm like, I know. But as far as like
when you were doing your show, like when you're doing something like, where you're playing elite special forces and it's like 10 months a year. What was that pressure like to stay in shape and to keep your weight down?
It was pretty crazy. Like, we were training like 5-6 days a week, and then we were doing like weapon stuff or CQB. And then I got really into the training side of it. Like, got really like heavy into it. And I just love it. It's been paid to work out. And I've always wanted to go into the action side of things, like the John McClanes of the world. I think it's the greatest character ever written. That diehard sort of thing. If you were to ask me like what career, I'd be like Bruce Willis. I like Bruce Willis's career. That's what I've those type of characters. Just sort of like your average Joe that is asked to do the impossible. But then I got injured on the show. I got really badly injured. I fell during a stunt. And when we were in Serbia, and I my L4, L5, C4, C8, and then I tore those. I tore my meniscus. I tore my labrum.
What happened?
I fell down. We were in Serbia, and it was a stairwell scene where we were had to be moving really quickly. We had 2 units going. And we didn't have all our people with us. So our special effects department, who was really familiar with our movements when we were coming in individually, knew what my movements were. And these guys, it's no harm, no foul. They weren't as proficient, and nor should they be as proficient with us. And, you know, it's like every studio is like, we're going to get there. We're going to run a tight budget. We're going to do 6-day weeks, and we're just going to blah, blah, blah. We're doing like high action sort of thing. So, you know, we didn't bring all our stunt guys. So we were using local stunt guys, but they didn't know our movements. So it was like, we'll just do it. So we sort of, you know, stand up like, guys, don't worry about it. I'll go over here. I don't need a stunt guy. And I came around a corner. I was supposed to, as I come around, clear where the air cannon is. And we're on steep steps and we're under night vision. And so we're in a gunfight and I'm supposed to be firing. And once I passed the air cannon, it goes off. And we did it with a gun thing. We'd signal the other actor, and then I'd step past it, and then an explosion would happen. But I would be past where the air cannon was, which had tons of like, you know, that manure, dirt sort of stuff. And we're in a dark stairwell, and I've got close to 100 pounds of gear on me with my helmets, my nods, my backpack, all our plates, our guns. Like, it was like we were carrying all real stuff. So it's like, it was no joke as far as what we had to move with. So this air blast goes off right in front of me. I can't see anything. And I go down the stairs, like head over heels, like down onto the thing. And I was like, I'm okay. Cause some of the guys that we're working with, they're like missing parts of their arms and they're missing body parts. So I'm like, I'm good. I got it. I'm fine. Give me 2 seconds. And so to like push through it. And I got injected with this like thing that numbed everything. And like, they were giving me like 5 or 6 shots of this, like a day when I had like 3 or 4 days left. I got back, went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, what did they inject you with? And I showed him, and he used to be the chiropractor for the Rams. And he was like, AJ, he's like, I wouldn't give one shot. He goes, first of all, is not legal here in America anymore. He goes, you're taking 7 shots of these a day? I'm like, yeah, maybe more sometimes. He goes, I wouldn't give one 300-pound lineman like half a dose of what you got. I was just
like a Toradol?
Something. It was just like in my lower back. And I was like, I feel great. I'm like, I need another shot in this. She was very sweet little Serbian lady. She's like, okay. She goes, pull your pants down. And pull them down. She's like, bang. And I'm like, woo. I'm like, I'm back. So it just like took the pain away. And then I got back and I was in bad shape. And then it sort of slippery slope. I couldn't work out. I couldn't go back surgery because our filming schedule, we're doing 10 months and then we'd have a month and a half off and then back out the door. So I did rehab and stuff over that break, then kind of got hurt again right out of the gates. And I didn't want to mess with pills or anything like that. So I started drinking way too much. And like I blow up from like season 3 to season 5. Like before I went and got stem cell done down in Colombia, I was in a bad place. I couldn't train. I couldn't really move. I could not sleep, like zero sleep. Or if it was a real thing. And the only thing that really helped was booze. And I didn't want to touch the pills because there was too much even like this is how crazy this is. I remember the first day they sent like a doctor to my house. Like, I know through SAG or through the company, this guy basically, no joke, on my kids, he goes, so what do you want? I'm like, what do you mean what I want? He's like, tell me what you want. I'll write it for you.
Hell yeah, it's a good doctor.
I was like,
gotta love it.
I was like,
let's just cut right to it.
He did, like as if we were broing it up. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm actually really in pain. Like, I'm not looking for fucking a deal. I'm like, hold on a second. I got so fucking mad. I'm like, dude, I'm good. I called my man. I'm like, dude, this guy is like asking me what I want. I'm like, and that's how crazy this business is. Yeah, they're like,
the answer is Norcos.
Yeah, just like, but isn't it so crazy? Like the doctor, they're like, yeah, you want that? Like how that part of fame, they're like the access that they will just give it to you, knowing that this is a fucking nosedive of a slope. Like, hey, so what do you? I'll get you anything. I was like, what? So, and then, you know, and I never struggled with any problem with pills, but I knew that like I'd seen people really quickly get messed up with that oxy or whatever those ones are, which is, I guess, is a form of heroin of some sort, right?
Yeah, but it is funny that you're like, so I was just taking Irish pills, which is Jameson.
Yeah,
right? Like
alcohol
is deeply fucked up.
Oh
like,
yeah,
and there's no it's the alcohol and Xanax are the only 2 addictions that if you come off it cold turkey, we're talking about like crazy heavy drinker. If you come off a cold turkey, you could just die. I mean, alcohol is easily in the sobriety game one of the most insidious things I've ever
Yeah.
seen. Oh
It's a
yeah,
it's a
it'll
weird
pickle you.
it's a weird thing too. It's like until I really got happy with me and like found out who I was and like I was chasing something. Like I felt like I had to drink to take the edge off, or I had to like this or that. Like it became so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like it became like this was just, and I didn't know. And if hair of the dog, like just keep sort of going. And but also too, I wasn't happy with like me inside. I didn't know who. I'm still figuring that out. Like I'm still on this journey in that, but I think I have a more my feet are more connected to the ground where I don't feel like that anxiety, like the drinking, like would help take that anxiety away. But what it did, it just made me not deal with it. It made me not actually like,
Mm.
go through the motions of. It made me just sort of, in a sense, go through the motions and pretend I was, but not actually do the work to do that. Did you have a moment in your sobriety thing where you had to like give your self-worth, or like where you're like I'm actually like, when did you start really accepting that you like you have self-worth, like and you're like start taking care of yourself?
I mean, I was lucky enough to get sober at 21,
Oh
and
wow.
so it was really a part of my rearing of growing up. And
Mm,
any time is a good time to get sober in my experience. And by the way, any time to drink, do some controlled drinking, like also my hat's off to anyone
yeah,
who can do it well. Like
yeah,
my wife, there's so many people in my life that are totally cute when they drink.
yeah,
And I'm like, that's awesome.
yeah.
Like this is completely just what's right for me. I just kind of made my peace with like the things that I'm good at and who I am. And I was lucky enough to go through my 20s, sober, just trying to be a good man.
Hmm.
And so I think that solidified who I was. Whereas if I had drank heavily through my 20s, 30s, 40s, it's harder because you've been in an arrested development for a really long time.
Wow.
And so you don't grow up.
Yeah,
And
I
I
didn't
think
think about it like that.
I was surrounded by a lot of guys who were like, it's time for you to grow up and you got to show up, and esteemable acts builds self-esteem. That was one of the crazy,
Say that
I,
again. Steam.
esteemable acts build self-esteem, right? I always just thought, well, I have low self-esteem. They're like, of course you do. Like, you don't do anything for anyone else.
Ah,
Why would you have esteem? Like, you're only thinking about you. And I'd be like, but I'm not
wow.
self-centered. That
Yeah.
like being self-centered is reserved for the quarterback or like the cool guy. Like, and they're like, listen, if you spend all your time thinking about how great you are
Mhm.
or how awful you are, you're only thinking about you, and that's self-centered. And I was like, gotcha. So those were the important tenets for me that I was able to like start developing in my 20s, and I think allowed me at 38 to be like, yeah, like I know who I am. I feel confident in that.
What like principles or things that you live by now that you as a teenager would have never imagined that you'd be doing? Like is it it's like
Yeah. Well, I think as a teenager, like I always esteem or strived to be a good dude, like a
mhm,
solid guy.
mhm,
It just kind of eluded me because I was too self-centered, too busy, like just trying to survive.
mhm,
And it's how, and I'm sure it's how you are on set.
mhm.
Like Turner and Hooch is a great example of. I spent a year on that show, and we shot in 2020 at the height of COVID in Vancouver. And I just had worked with enough people to know that the lead of a show sets the tone for the set.
100%.
And if they're having a bad day, we're all having a bad day.
Yeah.
And for 9 months straight, other than a couple, you know, tough moments because it
Mhm,
turns out French mastiffs can't be trained,
mhm.
or
Yeah.
um, we were freezing, and it was raining in the middle of January, and I'm outside in a t-shirt, like. But I'm proud that for 8 months, like I showed up every day and was like, let me be a true leader in this moment
Mhm,
and make the mistakes mine and the wins everyone else's.
mhm.
Show up prepared, show up relaxed, and that, and as you know, like just simple things like if the lead shows up to rehearsal on the day of shooting and they know their lines, everyone in that scene is going to be like, I better fucking know my lines tomorrow.
100%. Yeah.
Like, because I'm embarrassed coming here looking at my 5 or 6 lines and this lead has, 5 paragraphs.
Yeah.
And so suddenly everyone goes like, and I saw it perfectly executed on Oppenheimer, where you have a guy like Nolan who everyone wants to be great for him because he's setting the tone.
Can we talk about that experience? Because
yeah,
I mean, Christopher Nolan, I love scores in movies. Like, Last of the Mohicans is one of my favorite scores in The Mission, or two. But like, Oppenheimer's score is fucking insane. Like, it's just his choice of instruments for every movie is so different. Like with Inception, that was like church horns. It was like church thing I read or something that he found and he recorded in this old church. But see the fucking detail. Like, what was the process of getting cast, showing up on set, and going through like arguably one of the best movies ever made?
The story, Oppenheimer. I get the audition. It's a 2-page monologue. I audition, I put the tape together, I send it to my agent in like November. And I go, look, I actually think this is pretty good, but I don't get movies like this. So like call me when there's an audition for American Pie 5. Like, cause that's the kind of stuff I book. And she goes, okay. And 2 weeks later, I get a text from her. It says, Nolan liked your tape. We're in the hunt. And
that's so exciting. Like, I love those texts. I get so excited. Wow. It's like,
As you know, dude, like even if it had not gone my way as an actor, those little, that one callback, that little acknowledgement, it pulls you in. And it also like, you have to survive on that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm good for another 6 months, I guess.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like, oh, my empty tank just got full. I was like, oh, I feel great. Dude, babe, check it out. Yeah. Babe. I'd be like, babe, to my wife, like, Christopher Nolan. I said, we're in the fucking hunt, babe. I would be so happy.
I'll keep trying. Like, yeah. And then every 2 weeks I would just get a text like they're still talking about you. But throughout this time, right, they're like, oh, they've cast Cillian Murphy and Matt Damon and Florence Pugh, all these like genius actors. And you're like, there's no room. Yeah. And then at the end of January, it was 3 months. I get the text like, you're going to be in the movie and this is your part. And you've got like, a great scene. And, but I lit, for 90 seconds of screen time, it's such a small role. I was there for 2 months.
Well, where'd you guys film?
In New Mexico.
Wow. And how was Cillian?
The best, sweetie, like just, there's people like, there's other people in that movie. Everyone couldn't have been lovelier, but there's certainly people where like they have a movie star energy to them where you're just like, yeah, like we're going to exchange niceties, but like, we're not schmoozing, like I'm not going to chop it up with this dude. But Cillian was not that way. He was like, he felt like he could sit here and do this.
And so when you're on set and you had more chance to sit back and observe and watch the master work, what was his process like with everybody on set? Was like with Nolan and the amount of information that's in that man's head and what he was creating, was it laid out the vision of what he's making, or is he just sort of like, follow my lead and I'll bring you to the promised land?
Yeah, I think that he cares about everything. And from what I'm wearing is number 30 on the call sheet to as much as what Cillian's wearing, he's a part of all of it. He has a strong opinion about it. And it doesn't mean that I never watched him micromanage a performance. You certainly get to feel like a collaborator, but you just feel there's nothing like feeling that you're being led by someone who has great taste. And so when they tell you, we're going to do it this way, you don't have to be like, oh, I guess, I hope it works out. You just go, it's going to work. Yeah. Because he said so. And as you know, right, like, anything worth doing is worth doing well. But most of the things we work on, I'm like, even if this is the best version of it, it's a 7, right? Like the potential for this can only be a B, just because it is what it is. It's limited by the scope and the material. When you have something like that where you're like, oh, if we all work as hard as he is, this could be an A. Like this could be a rare, great thing. You're so incentivized to be like, let's do it.
And does he have? Is he like Eastwood, where he has all the same crew that he works with, all the same people?
Kind of
that sort of thing. I'd never worked with Clint Eastwood, but my friends have done a couple movies with him, and he said it's been the same people. And Clint Eastwood doesn't even call action. He just, when you're ready, and he'll quiet, and people just walk up and start this. It's like, I'm like, that's so. This did little intricacies like that. Was Nolan like a big action guy, or was he just very soft spoken?
He has a beautiful British sort of soft spoken thing about him, but he's also shooting on film, and it's IMAX. It's 70 millimeter
you could hear
film.
The purr of the camera.
It's not a purr. With 70 millimeter, the slide is so big that when they turn on, when they yell speed, you think it's a joke because and you're like, what are they going to do for that? But I think in the sound design, they can use AI to pull out, as long as the sound is consistent, the AI can be trained to pull out that it can recognize the sound and just pull the whole thing out.
Wow.
But, so I think in an economical sense, it was like quick cuts at the end. It was like, we got the same cut. Like, let's not waste another $50 worth of film because we ran an extra 20 seconds.
Wow. I mean, dude, you truly have worked with, some of the top people in the business. I have a question I ask every guest, and I'm very curious to see what you would say. If you, Josh, now, and what you know, where you are spiritually, mentally, physically now, could go back and find you as a kid when you were hurting the most, what would you say to him?
Stop having seconds and thirds. No. I think, again, I grew up with a single mom, so I'm trying to think of like, I have a great mom, and I was really lucky in that way, but there's some things even the best single moms can't do, represent as two parents. So what would I give my kid? I just would have I would have honored whatever that 13-year-old, 15-year-old kid was, but like on a human level, not for the achievements, not like, oh, you're precocious, or you're the things that I got complimented on at 15 was like, oh, you're so funny, or you're this or that, things that related to acting. And I would have complimented myself on like some human traits, right?
Wow.
And it's what I tell my son Max, I'll be like, the thing that makes me happiest, and it's true, and you have kids this age, parents lead with, he's so good at Little League, or they're, an incredible, musician, piano player. They're so smart, off the charts smart. He's so tall. I'm like, wait, he didn't do anything to be that tall. What do you want to fucking... And I tell him this, what makes me the happiest is when a teacher, a counselor at camp, whoever goes like, he's really kind. He's really sweet, and he listens, and he's like, he doesn't give me a hard time. And I say that to Max. I'll go like, dude, you're a good boy, and you're sweet to your younger brothers, and you're kind. Like, cause that, I don't know, man, you're a great dad, AJ. So you tell me, like, I think at the very least, if we make kids who can be sweet and do nice things for other people, we've done our job.
We've done our job. And I think, I've said this before on the podcast, but I think the hardest thing as a dad that of late starts struggling with, but it puts a lump in my throat every time. It's like, you're raising your son to not need you one day.
Yeah.
And every time it just fucking crushes me. I'm like, say with my daughter, I'm just like, oh my God. Like and when I realized that, I was like, man, when I left home, that feeling like that, like I'd never seen him cry the way that he did. And my mom, like, I didn't understand the pain that was for them. Like they prepared me for that moment, and they prepared me well. They prepared me with discipline and morals and a work ethic. And we didn't grow up with any money. Like we weren't like dirt poor, but we it was our wealth was our family. You know, that's what we were rich in. And my memories I have, I never felt like I went without because I was always filled. I'm very fortunate that I had the parents that I did. But I just feel there's so much in this world that we live in that you are always constantly like trying to get to the next. And being a dad is the one thing I wish if I had a superpower, it would be to pause time. Like I just wish there's so much, like even when I'm away, it's after I come out, they've changed. Like you'll go away for a couple weeks, come back, they look different,
Yeah.
But it's like that when you get home and like, you want to play pass, you want to throw the football. It's like, I don't care how fucking tired I am. I'm like, yeah, I do. I want, because I know one day they're going to be like, want to go play with their friends and not want to. So it's like and that's the part that just gets me inside. But I'm like, I just wish I could pause and just, because I fucking love Christmas. I freak out over Christmas. It's my favorite. I am Clark. Fucking the second Thanksgiving is over, fucking Christmas tree, fucking pop-a-da, lights, fucking, I got like my house. It is bananas. It is like I've literally I have broken circuit so many times in my house. I've had to bring in like an electrician to put a second circuit downstairs just from my lights because I'm like I go like I have a problem. I have a complete problem with Christmas, and anytime I go to Lowe's, they get me because look, Halloween isn't even over, and in Lowe's there's Christmas trees, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, my wife is like, babe, just wait. Can we just get dressed up in the outfits, do that, then you can go and spend some money on your Christmas trees. I'm like, fine. I'm like, but look at this tree that just came out. It's 7 foot at Costco. You can get 2 for $200, and it already comes with snow. And they've got these fairy lights all over it. Like every year, I get another like. So it's I'll get all like the little ornaments, all the little things. So and like one year, I this is crazy. One year I went and got fucking snow from the ice hockey arena, like filled it up in the thing, and I built like because there was no snow in South Carolina, so I literally got the ice thing and we put it in the driveway, and it fucking down. In the backyard, we had the ice thing. I was like, Christmas. Yeah. So, but
super dad.
Yeah, but dude, I know you got to go, and I just want to honestly, man, it's really been cool from afar to see you on your journey and see the success that you have, and just see the man that you are and what you represent. And I don't think I've ever met a human being in this business that is more loved by people. And again, they talk about. What you said there, they talk about your character. They talk about what immense you are, what just like how many people you make happy, how thoughtful, how selfless you are. I mean, so I know you know this, but you are a loved individual, and just to be on the journey that you've been on, and to be so open about the struggles that you've been through, and to be so raw with that. I think there's a lot more people that you've helped than you know of, and it's a really admirable thing to do, and to be so grounded and so connected and so wanting to be the best dad you can be. And I got a lot of love and a lot of respect for you, buddy. So I appreciate the time. I know you're a busy guy. So.
An honor, man. I want to come back.
Dude, we will.
We're stories.
Oh yeah, and we'll I'm going to organize something. I'm going to set up like some type of hunt or some type of like outdoor crazy thing. I there's one thing I think I might take you on. And I think Craig Conover will come as well too. But it's full on. Like we're getting weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm ready to go.
I love it. All right, brother. Thanks again, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Talk soon, bud.